Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and I welcome you to this tutorial. It's just a finalization to our formats of inserting data into the tables. Last time we looked at 3 ways of inserting, but all those 3 were falling in the same category, that is to insert like local data that you provide physically within the statement. But some other times we have 2 other scenarios in which data can be inserted into a certain table. That is maybe data from another table. We can get data from another table. For example, we may have we already have our table student in our ERP database, and then maybe we have another table, maybe another table for alumni or for graduates. Okay, and we just want to keep some historical data. We just want to capture whatever we have in student table and we get it into the graduate table or the alumni table. So in that case, we can write just a statement that will select the information that we have in the student table and then we insert it directly into another table. So that is the second format. Getting data from one table, inserting it into another. And then the other format is when you have data in a file. Maybe someone they went to the field and they collected the data, and then we want that data to be inserted into the table. So most of the times data that is in the Excel file and basically saved as a CSV file. CSV stands for comma separated values. So such a file format, MySQL provides a list of keywords that we can use to read data from a CSV file and insert it into the database. You may wonder, okay, URA of all the Airtel, the telecom companies, those mobile money companies. Sometimes if a company pays their employees via mobile money, okay, they don't just forward one name at a time. What Airtel does or MTN, what they do, they send the company an Excel file, and then they put in the list of all the employees, their names, their mobile money numbers, and the amount they are to receive. So the company generates that list, that file in Excel, and then it uploads it on the Airtel Money or MTN Money website. And then the Airtel side, they just get that file and read the data into their database. So sometimes you may find that you have so much data into the file, you can't enter it one by one into the database. So in that case, we use that third option of inserting from the file. So you're going to look at those two, and then that will be it for the insertion. So I'm going to activate my database ERP. So use ERP. As I told you, when you come back, you already created your database. You just start from use and you activate and you proceed. You don't have to again create a database. You don't create databases every time you open the MySQL server. So we are going to start with inserting data from another table. So what I'm going to do is, actually, let me first, I was doing some testing here. So I'm going to drop this. Although I don't advise you, if a question comes in the paper and tells you write a command to drop a table, don't do what I've done. That's what I told you, that you may find other means of doing something, but don't use those things. What I need is the code. So if you do this and you delete the table, yes, the table will disappear, but I will not give you marks. Okay. So for me, what I want is to come here. If it is a question, I told you how to drop tables. So we said drop table and then the name of the table. This is what I expect you to do if it is an exam or a test. So you say student copy. Okay. So in that case, you earn your marks when this line is here. Even if this line didn't execute well and the table is still here, I can give you. Maybe you misspelled the word table and you couldn't see the mistake. Okay, so you get your marks. Then not having the table without the command. So if I refresh here, you find that the table disappeared. Okay, so first I'm going to use the course for the demonstration purposes of how to pick data from one table to another, because if I write a select statement here, select select star from course. So we have some data. If we need this data into another table, what can we do? So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to create a table that is similar to this, because one of the rule is the values that you're picking from one table should be matching the data type of the column of the table that you're trying to insert into. So the data types need to be matching somehow. So what I'm going to do here is to demonstrate. First of all, I'm going to duplicate this table course so that I can get this data and I just put it in the duplicated table. So how do we duplicate a table? Using a command. So we just say like you're creating a table. So this is like again creating a table from another table, because the table already has all the definition that you want. So you don't have to repeat what I did with course. So in that case, you can just copy the definition of one table into another. So create table. So this time around, I want to create a table named as course copy. It is my copy version of the course table. And so I'm not going to list the columns as you have done here. Okay, hide code name what, no. Instead, I just want to define it the way I defined course. So we just say like and then course. So course is already existing, it has its definition. So I want to create another table course copy that has the same definition as course. So we just use the like word. So if I do that, everything is fine. So when I come to refresh, I have a table course copy, but yeah, in this table there's no data. Course copy. This table has no data. Just by creating it from the previous table doesn't mean that it will come with its own data. So this is where we are going to learn how to insert data from another table. So this was creating a table from an existing table. Yeah, so that was creating. Then what we're going to look at next is how do we insert excuse me. So this is inserting data into a table from another table. So again, we follow the syntax of the insert command. So we say insert into. Again, we can be inserting into all the fields. We can be inserting into some fields. We just have to specify. If I just want to insert into only code name and faculty, I can specify the fields and I leave out the department and maybe the years, provided that these two fields accept null values. Otherwise, it won't accept. I hope you get what I'm saying. But for now, I'm going to all the fields of my course copy table. I want to insert into them with all the data from the course table. So insert into, we are inserting into the course copy table. Okay. So instead of saying values here, like we used to do in the previous insert statements, rather, so I'm not rather we just say select. As we are going to see more about the select statement, it is the statement that we use in case we want to get data from somewhere or from a table. We always use the select table, as we are going to expand more on it in the later topics to come. But for now, we want to get the data into the course from the course table into the course copy table. So we use the select, and then I'm going to use the star, just like we use it here, because when I run this statement, it returns for me. Let me just execute it. So it gives me all this. So if I need all this, again, that's the statement that I'm writing here. That get for me all the data from the course table and insert into the copy table. Okay, actually, this one is select. I think I'm confusing the syntax. Insert into. Okay, yeah, let me first execute this and I see what it gives me. So take note, we don't have anything in my course, but I want to pick whatever I have in course into the course copy. Okay, So I'll first execute this, then let me execute my statement. Okay, so it is okay. That is the syntax. I was not certain about it. So 3 rows inserted, that is all the 3 records I had in my equals table have been copied into my equals copy. So if I execute this, I get everything. So there are some other dynamics with this. As I told you, you can be selecting some few columns, okay, into the table, and maybe we are doing some manipulation on the data that you have selected. So all that can happen, but that is at least the minimum that you can go with for now, in case you want to get data from another table. So that is the insert from another table. Then the other thing that we are left with is how do we insert data from a file. So I already have a file here that I created in Excel. So I named it student. I'm going to demonstrate with the student table. I saved it as a CSV file. Okay, so it has a list of students, okay, with their names and reg numbers and gender, and then the address. So you can see that address, since we defined it to be null, it accepts null values. So again, I have some records here that don't have the address values. Okay, but these other fields, for them, since they are mandatory, then they all have the data. One thing that we need to note is the file, this Excel file or the CSV file, should have the same columns that match with the table that you're intending to insert into. So here I'm going to repeat this statement to create a student copy, because this one I don't want to let me write here. So next from student. So this is my original table for student. Okay. So it has some data, but I'm going to create another copy. Okay, I'm going to create another copy. Oh, I can still use this. I think let me use this, not to confuse you. So, but the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the IDs. Why am I changing the IDs? Because I already have these IDs. Okay, so it will cause a duplicate error for these IDs. So I'm going to change them so that they start from 5 to 6 and like that. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so that they don't conflict with the already existing records. And the other thing, I need to close it before I can write the command, because it won't be able to read, to assume that I'm still using this file, so it won't be having the recent changes. So I'm going to close it, but at least you have understood it should have the same records, the same columns as the table you're inserting into, because our table here, the student that we want to insert into, it has all these records, the columns. So the columns are matching. That is the first criteria. So I'm going to close this. I'll save. Okay. So the command, first put a comment, inserting into table with data from a file. Actually, this is from a CSV file, comma separated values file. So we use the command load data. Okay, and this word, it is sometimes optional, because in the book and in the slides you may not find it. There is, so if the file is saved locally on your machine, then you need the keyword local. Otherwise, if it is physically on the server, then you don't need to put the word local. But now in this case, the file is on my machine, not on the MySQL server. So I use that keyword load data local in file, and then here we put the address of the file, the location, the location address of the file. So my file is on the desktop. I have it on the desktop in my folder named as Hakim. Okay, in this folder on the desktop, this is where my file is. So I can just copy the address by right-clicking here and come to properties, and I copy the location like that. Or you can just click here and copy. This is an easier option maybe. So either way it is the same, but you have to add the file name. So I paste it here, and Actually, we are supposed to use this on Windows. If you don't use this, then you can just use double over backslashes, over forward slashes, whatever. Okay, double these ones like this. If you don't use these single ones, then we use double these symbols. They confuse me. I don't know whether this is backslash or forward slash. But I think it is backslash. Oh no, this is forward slash somehow. So you just choose. So I prefer to have single forward slashes like this. And then I have to add the file name, students. I think it is students. Yeah, .c.csv. In Excel, when you're saving, you have an option. Let me show you. So if I want to save this Excel work as a CSV, so when I come to save as, I'm just trying to show you where you can change and save your work as a CSV. So by default, it is Excel workbook, but when you scroll up here, so you can have the CSV comma separated, comma delimited. So this is the one that you choose, and you go ahead and save. So it will be saved as a CSV file. But I don't want to save my work as that. But this one I saved it as such. And then you have to specify the table in which you're inserting. So we say into table and then the name of the table. So our name of the table is student. The table name is student. And then the next line we say fields is it separated by or terminated by? I think it's terminated by, and then by comma. So why comma? Because it is CSV, comma separated value. Actually, if I'm to show you what that means, if I open this file in Notepad, so when I click edit, it will open in Notepad. So in Notepad, this is how it looks like. We have our columns, but they're all separated by a comma. So this is what we mean by this statement. Okay. So CSV can be opened by different applications. So when you open it in a Notepad, it comes with comma separated by it. If you open it in Excel, each value comes in its own cell. But by default, it is a comma separated file. Okay, then the fields, we say again, they are enclosed. They are enclosed by double quotes. So just like we have a comma in between here, in between these two single quotes, so here we say in between the quotes we are having a double quote, meaning that have I closed it? Although we don't see it here, but these fields, each one is enclosed in single quote, in double quotes. Although in Notepad they are ignored to be displayed, but that's how it appears. Okay, so each field is separate, is enclosed with a pair of double quotes. Although here we don't see them, but by implementation they are there. Okay, so that's what we mean by enclosed by double quotes. And then we say lines terminated by, I believe you remember this, it is a single small n. So lines are terminated by, and I think you know what this escape character mean. It creates a new line, meaning that at the end of this, there is a new line in its implementation. That is a backslash n to end this line. So on each line, there is that backslash n, and that's what we are trying to mean here, that each line here is terminated by a new line escape character. So this is all one statement. I'm just breaking it on a single line. Otherwise, it would just go like this, which will be quite longer and unreadable. And then the last one is, the command is ignore. Just ignore one rows. So why do we need the ignore one rows? Because the first row is it indicates the column headers, and we don't want to insert this. All we want is only this data, not the column headers. So we try to ignore it. If there's any other row we want to ignore, we could say ignore two rows. So it would ignore these first two rows in our CSV and then starts inserting from this. But for this time, only the column headers are the ones that we don't want to add as data to be inserted. So this is the command load data, which is locally saved on our machine, that is in the file on this location, and then we're inserting it into our table student. The fields of the file are terminated or are separated by a comma, and they are enclosed. Each field is enclosed by a pair of double quotations. The lines are terminated. Each line of the record is terminated by a new line escape character, and we want to ignore the first row of the file. So if I execute this, so it tells me 6 rows inserted. If you read here, these are 6 rows: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can take note: award, Ruth, Aziwe, Brenda, whatever. So if I run my student, select command, you find that from the previous records we had 4 of them, but now they have added these other records from the table. So you don't mind about this. It is a symbol for a space, meaning that I think there was a space character after each of these address names. So that is how we can load data. So however many records you may have in your CSV file, 100, 200, any number, it will just go ahead and insert all the values in that file. So if you're writing a system, you could have this code somewhere. It reads the file, and then it reads the data in it, and then does the insertion behind the scenes without you manually entering the data one by one. So it saves a lot of time. And I think that is it all for the insertion, or the different ways you can insert data into a table. In case of any question, you can go ahead and ask, and it has taken more time. Assalamu alaikum.